All right, welcome back in, everybody. Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920, the Jersey. Time right now is 4:32. Big baseball game tonight. San Francisco Giants and the New York Mets. Winner will go on to Chicago to face a very tough Chicago Cubs team that is the favorite to go to the World Series this year and win it. Now joining us on the hotline, played for both the San Francisco Giants and the New York Mets, and now is a analyst for Giants baseball on Comcast Sportsnet, and that is a good friend of the show in Shawn Estes. Shawn, Zach Gelb, appreciate a few minutes. And how are you, my man?
I'm doing great, Zach. Just gearing up for this game tonight. Should be fun to watch.
No doubt about that. Shawn, I'll tell you this. I'm coming today, actually. I broadcasting out of the WFAN studios, and I told someone that Shawn Estes is coming on the show. The first thing they brought up, though, was that game that I love to bring up to you between Roger Clemens and the effort in that Subway Series game.
I can't remember that one. Can you fill me in on it?
It was the one that you had a home run and you missed a little bit on Roger Clemens.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks. I wanted to see what your take was on it because I've always given my perspective. Yeah, I know. It definitely a fond memory, Shea Stadium memory. I have a lot of great memories at Shea, though. I mean, it was in the first big league ballparks that I stepped foot into after I got called up in '95. Might have been 96. I can't quite remember what year it was, but it was one of the first big league stadiums, and I just remember thinking, this is the big leagues. That felt like the big. My first big league stadium I walked into was St. Louis and then Pittsburgh back when they had the old cookie cutter stadiums and they had the turf. It didn't quite feel like big league ball yet. I was ready for I was used to the grass and just it didn't feel when I walked into Shea, and so I've always had a special place for Shea in my heart, just based on the fact that New York history. Shea, just enormous, the Big Apple in center field, and then I had a chance to play for New York and have some memories at Shea. Not as many positive ones as I would have liked to, but the game against the Yankees was definitely up there on that list of my favorite games to pitch and hit in.
Shea Stadium, it was a dump, but it was our dump. I absolutely loved it, and I loved cheering on that day for you when you hit that prodigious home run off the great Roger Clemens. But tonight, I don't think there's going to be a lot of home runs in this one. This is a good pitching matchup between Noah Syndergaard and Madison Bumgarner. Bumgarner, his last two starts, he struggled. What type of Madison Bumgarner do you expect tonight? Because everyone in New York is afraid knowing the postseason success of one Madison Bumgarner.
Well, it's funny you say about not going to be a lot of home runs, and that, I mean, I'm hoping you're right, because if there is, they're going to more likely come off the bats of the Mets players due to the fact that the Giants hit about as few amount of home runs as anybody in the major leagues this year, and then the Mets score more than half the run via the home runs. So if there's home runs tonight, you guys are celebrating. Put it that way. But with the question you asked about Madison and him struggling, and him struggling is relative because he's raised the bar pretty high, and you expect expectations when he goes out and takes the mound every fifth or sixth day is that he's going to go out and dominate because we've seen him do it so many times. So yeah, they maybe not have been your typical Madison Bumgarner performances, but this is a completely different stage, a completely different type of game that he is pitching in. This is a game where if he doesn't pitch well, his season's over. So I expect him to be at his best. I really do. I think that he's the type of guy that is able to slow the game down in the biggest moments, regardless of what venue he's pitching in. And this is going to be a pretty hostile environment to pitch in. But he has the ability to calm things down, his ability to focus, hyper-focus, and still and keep that intensity, that fire in his belly that he goes out and pitches with. He can draw on the experiences of the past that he has had success in. He's not going to be fazed by this moment. Now it's just a matter of going out there and executing pitches and pitching within, his game plan. A lot of guys, and we'll have to see on Noah Syndergaard how he reacts to this environment. But a lot of guys let the adrenaline get to them. They don't have the ability to focus. They overthrow. They end up being a little bit more erratic than they'd like to be or that they have been in the past. They make mistakes over the middle part of the plate to get hit. They walk guys. They can't throw to bases for whatever reason. They're overwhelmed by the magnitude of the game. We'll have to see. I've just seen Madison Bumgarner thrive in these situations. So if I was handicapping the game and I wasn't a Giant fan, I'd still have to probably give the edge to the Giants just based on past performance. But with that being said, if Syndergaard can go out there and slow the game down like Madison has a tendency to do, it's going to be a pitcher's duel to the end.
Shawn Estes with us on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920, the Jersey. Really, the Mets lineup, their best part of their lineup is the top of the order, the first three hitters with Jose Reyes, Asdrubal Cabrera, and Yoenis Cespedes. What stands out to you about those three hitters going up against Madison Bumgarner?
Well, those are the three that I'm the most worried about if I'm Madison Bumgarner, without a doubt. You know, the fact that Reyes, he's turn around to the right side, he still hits 380 against left-handed pitching. And you don't want him on base early in the game, especially leading off the game, because what he can do with his legs as well. Now, Bumgarner and Posey do a pretty good job of controlling the running game, but you just don't want to, out of the first batter of the game, to have to get into the stretch, have to worry about a guy stealing second base, because it'll take your focus a little bit off of the guy that you need to get out, and that's the hitter, and that guy has dribbled Cabrera and then to follow Cespedes. So Cabrera, one of the hottest hitters in the Mets lineup, hits over 300 against lefties from the right side. He doesn't have as much power, but he can still get a big hit when you need it, and he's been Mr. Clutch for this Mets team. Then obviously the one guy that you don't want to have beat you in that lineup, and that's Cespedes. And he's a guy that you really have to make your pitches to. Stay away from his nitro zone. He likes the ball down in the zone. He likes to get extended. You can hit the ball all over the place, out of the ballpark all over the place. So he's a guy you really, really have to concern yourself with. But you want to be able to concern yourself with him with nobody on base. So I think it's imperative for Madison Bumgarner to get the top Reyes and Asdrubal Cabrera out before he has to face a Cespedes. Because I think early in the game is when Madison's most vulnerable. And that's the inning that could make the difference. And one swing in the bat could be the difference in this game, which I personally feel that's going to be the case. It's going to be one swing in the bat from either the Giants or the Mets that'll be the big blow.
I agree with you, whether it's with the starting pitchers, which I believe both starting pitchers will be on top of their game tonight. Maybe it does come down to the bullpen in the 8th or 9th inning. But Madison Bumgarner has faced the Mets twice this year. Do you give an advantage to either the batters or the pitcher with seeing this guy twice already this year?
I think the more you see a guy, the more advantageous it is for a hitter. Just based on the fact the action of his pitches. I mean, Madison's a little unorthodox in his delivery. It takes you a while to kind of get a feel for him, just kind of pick up the ball, know where the ball's going to come out, just the movement on his pitches. So if you have seen that, I think you do have a little bit more of an advantage. With that being said, if he's executing, it doesn't matter who you're facing. That's the bottom line, is if you go out and make the pitches that you need to make to get that hitter out, based on video you've watched, based on past performance against that hitter, and you have a game plan and you execute the pitches, you're going to get the guys out. So that's what he has the ability to do, regardless of the situation, is that he goes out there and he studies film. He sits down with Buster Posey, and they have a lot of confidence in one another, and Dave Righetti, and they have a game plan when they take the mound. And he has an unbelievable ability to go out there without his best stuff and still be able to break down an opposing lineup. Mentally, he's as strong as they get. If something's not working for him, he won't throw it. He's not going to force the issue. He's going to go out there and find out what's working for him early in the game, and he's going to stick with that. So a lot of guys would get a little bit nervous, coming out of a bullpen and maybe not having a pitch or two, but he's not that guy. He feels eventually that pitch may come, but he's going to stick with what's working, and he's going to break a hitter down.
Now, I think a big key to this game is Shawn Estes joins us, played for the Mets and Giants. That does a tremendous job out west for Comcast Sportsnet. A big key is with Thor and Rivera, how they're going to hold those Giants base runners. How do you think the Mets are going to do that? Because I expect when the Giants get some runners on for them to be very active.
Well, they should be. I mean, if you look at one chink in Syndergaard's armor, it's the 46 or 48 stolen bases in 57 attempts this year. It's a pretty high percentage. I think it's probably the worst in the major leagues. But with that being said, you'd expect the ERA to be a little bit higher, and it's not, because he has the ability to strike you out. I think you really have to take advantage of that weakness, though. And the Giants aren't known for stealing bases. They don't have a ton of speed. I think that's why Nunez's injury, I think, is a big deal, because he was that one guy. If he can get on base, he can create some havoc on the bases. And in a one-run game or close game, that can make the difference. But I also think that they're not a slow team. They got a lot of average to above average speed, and so I think that they are good at picking their spots. But I think you have to even go to another level as far as your aggressiveness on the bases tonight and take some chances to get into scoring position. Because the thing about Syndergaard is he has the ability, when runners are on base, if you can get a guy on third base with less than 2 outs, he has the ability to punch you out. He's got all the weapons to do that. What a stat that really stood out with Syndergaard that I was surprised about is the batting average of the balls put in play. The BABIP, you hear about that stat from time to time. He's got one of the worst BABIPs in the major leagues, which is hitters are hitting 338 when they put it in play. That just shows me that he relies a lot on strikeouts. I know that the range of the Mets defense isn't probably the best, which attributes to that. So, and the Giants have a great ability to put the ball in play. They don't strike out a whole lot. So we'll have to see how that plays out tonight. But like I said, man, earlier, this is a matchup for the ages for sure.
Really, when I take a look at this Giants team, the two guys that really scare me, though, Posey and Pence, because those guys, they just always find a way to have a big clutch moment. And those two guys could be the difference tonight. There's no question about that, Shawn.
Well, that's what they're in the middle of the lineup to do. They're in the middle of the lineup because they do put together extremely difficult at-bats. They'll battle you. Posey, you can't pitch him one way. When his swing is right, he hits the ball all over the place. You just kind of hope that, power numbers are down this year, but he still has the ability to drive runs in with runners in scoring position. You just hope that, if you're a Mets fan, that they don't come up with runners in scoring position because that's when they do their damage. I think another guy you can't sleep on in this lineup is Brandon Crawford and how clutch he's been all season long. And he's been probably the best hitter, consistent hitter all season long. When the Giants need a hit, he's the one that's been able to deliver. So he kind of just sneaks in there in the sixth hole. I didn't see actually where he's hitting tonight. I'd have to guess he's probably hitting sixth. And then ever since Brandon Belt's been in that 2-hole, he's been thriving. So they have some guys that can swing the bat. They played extremely good baseball the last week of the season. The offense started coming around. Hopefully they can continue that momentum. I have a little bit more skeptical. I believe good hitting beats good hitting and hot hitting. Good pitching beats even hot hitting. And with the 2 days off, a lot of times you can get a little bit flat. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But there's some guys in this lineup that can swing the bat, and they're very left-handed heavy. Maybe that plays in their favor, but we'll have to see. I think Syndergaard, he's proven that he can get both lefties and righties out, and he has the weapons to do it.
Before we let you run, Shawn, this has always been a Giants team, especially the last few years. In the even years, they find a way to win the ultimate prize. I have so much respect for that Giants organization with Bruce Bochy and Buster Posey and Madison Bumgarner. Do the fans in San Francisco, do they feel like another run is coming if they could just find a way to get past the Mets tonight? Or do they just say, hey, we're going to take it one game at a time? What are the fans feeling right now in San Francisco?
Well, the fans are definitely from the get-go, from spring training, knew that it's an even year, and then they played into that pretty significantly as a fan base. There was definitely a lot of doubters in the second half of the season where this team was really struggling. I mean, as good as they were in the first half, they were just as bad in the second half, and nobody could really figure it out. I think they probably lost a little bit of hope during that stretch. But the Giants, just when you think they're down and out, you think that they're a bunch of cockroaches on this team. You can't kill them. You think they're down, and all of a sudden they come back to life at just the right moment. So I don't think that there's a team in the playoffs that wanted to see the Giants in this position because they know that if they can win this game tonight, that they could, in the depth of their starting pitching, and the fact that they've been there before, and for whatever reason they have this even year mojo, that they could get it done. So there's not a fan in San Francisco that doesn't believe this team can win another championship.
Enjoy the game, Shawn. We appreciate the time. Thanks so much, my friend.
All right, Zach. Anytime, bud.